Alright, so let's talk about the maps inside the Zabbix and what it is. No, it's not something complicated that you need to do in the configuration to collect some data from your host or some even more deeper functionality. The maps inside the Zabbix is one of the visualization options you can use inside your frontend to simply visualize what currently is happening in your monitoring environment. You may want to configure these for, let's say, for your NOC team to simply have an eye on all the infrastructure, or possibly in your office on some dashboard TVs that are meant just for the visualization options. What I have here for this example is 4.4 Zabbix, including the frontend 443. Mainly the same functionality remains exactly the same also in the previous version, except one thing. Like I have it opened here in the second tab. What's new in the Zabbix 4.2? Animated GIF support in the maps. So this awesome functionality was added in 4.2, so if you have something below that, you won't be able to upload GIFs inside your maps, but everything else should remain the same. What else? I've created just 4 dummy hosts, so all of them are pointing to my virtual machine. I've changed the update interval of items on each of the hosts just to make sure that data will look a little bit different on all of them. And link it is simply template operating system Linux by the Zabbix agent. So let's get actually started to create our first, probably maybe not, map inside the front end. The map configuration is done inside a monitoring maps, and so since this is a first tab called monitoring, it means that it is available also for the simple Zabbix user, so you don't have to be a Zabbix admin or super admin to create a map. But of course, remember that you or the user for who you're creating this map must have permissions on all of the elements that you will be including inside it. So by default you should have a local map or local host map here, which is right after the installation. I already deleted it, so I will be doing create a new map. And there will be actually many parameters during the configuration of the map. I won't talk about all of them because most of them are quite straightforward, and I would say there is a baseline of the parameters that usually remain the same, and you can still keep the core functionality to create hopefully a pretty looking map. So the name, I will call it again YouTube video map, so that's just for the example. And here in the width and height you can specify the size of your map, how it will visualize on the screen. Usually you just adapt it for let's say for the screen on which you plan to run this map, like 24/7. Then the background image, so by default you get like this white background or gray background and nothing on, but you can also add a custom background. So I will open additional tab here and show you where you can do that. So what I have a folder with 3 pictures, background, GIF, and 1 pixel that I will show you for the tips. So how we can import the background. You need to go in administration, general, images, and change the type from icon to background, create a background, call it something, and choose file, just add. There we go. We should have a new background here for the choice. I refresh the page, and there we go, video. Automatic icon mapping, this is used together with the inventory. So you know that there are pictures inside the maps that you can assign to your hosts or other elements. So with automatic icon mapping, you can define a default pictures based on host inventory fields. So let's say all the configuration is also done in administration general icon mapping, where you can define like if host inventory field operating system is like Linux, then the picture will be, I don't know, Cloud 24. If operating system Windows, then it will be something network. So with these, based on the inventory values, we define the default pictures for those elements. But we won't be doing that in this test. I can highlight mark elements on the trigger status change. It will just change a little bit the visualization of the element when the trigger will go to the problem state. Display the problem, so how you actually want to display them. Let's say you have one element, which is one host, on which you can have one single problem, or you could have 5 problems at once. And these settings simply specify, do you want to expand just one, or just show the number of active problems, or the number of problems and the most critical one based on the severity. Advanced labels, we won't be changing anything here. The default label will be all that we need to specify all available macros inside a map, and location of the label, so that's up to you how you see the design of the map. Problem display, so separated or unacknowledged only or all, same as in the dashboard, and a minimal severity you would want to visualize in your map. Maybe you're creating something that will be for the critical problems only, so you don't want to see anything less than high. But we'll leave this as default. Sharing, so when you're creating a map, you can make it private and just delegate the permissions for the users who will be able to see it and nobody else will be able to see it, or you can make it public, available for everybody. So that's just security measures. Click add. Incorrect value for the name, yeah, right, I forgot, call it YouTube video, click add. There we go, we have a new map, so the properties button will bring us to the place where we just were, and we actually need to click on the YouTube video. So there's our background, and we already see the problem that the background picture is actually bigger than my size of the map. So what I will do, go back to the properties and increase it to, I don't know, like this, and check again. So looks better, probably should increase more, but I think it will fit fine for the example. The size is so big that I would actually probably would rather resize the background picture rather than resizing the map itself, but depends. Like all the configuration with the maps is full of tips and tricks and small pitfalls you need to follow to actually create something meaningful. So let's leave this as it is. When you open the map, what you need to do is click Edit Map, and in this setting or window we can actually start adding something. I'll probably zoom out a little bit so we can see it better. So see, there's not so many things we can do. So map element, add or remove, shape, link, and basically that's it. So expand macros, we'll get to it, and the grid, well, just this. Yeah, we can leave it off. What else? So let's start adding a map element. When you click the add button, a new element is added, and when you double click on it, you can choose the type, and there's not many types you can choose from. So it can be the host, it could be another map, so it is also possible to create a map inside a map, which leads to the submap. Let's say you have first level map like this with the United States, then you have, let's say, some element here in the Phoenix, and which actually is type map. So when you see that there is a problem in the Phoenix, you can double click, open more detailed map with the Phoenix offices. When you see that there is a problem with the Phoenix DC inside the map level 2, again double click on Phoenix DC and you will see a detailed data center map. So it works like that. For now, we'll leave it like that is. And the third one is just a trigger. So instead of visualizing the problems with the host, you can visualize the problems with the triggers or in the all host group, or just a simple image without any meaningful information. So let's pick a host. And I told you that I already created for host. So let's make it Linux server. And click apply. So all the time we can click apply and see what happens. So we made this a host, but actually nothing happened. And this label field will be the most interesting thing for us in this map video. So first of all, yes, we can write a static text. So this can be anything. Click apply. There we go. But in addition, you can also use the macros inside the labels. So as example, host.host, right? You know these from previous videos. See, nothing happened, like because I am in the editing menu, and what you need to do is click expand macro on. So right now we can see the Linux server. And another of course, you can use any other macros like something from inventory or host description or something like that. But the interesting thing might be the macro how to display the actual values on the elements. So the syntax is curly brackets, then host.host macro. So very similar actually to the trigger, then colon, and we need to pick a key. So I will check a key in my second tab on the Linux server. Let's take something with a CPU. System CPU should be something load. No. Let's take this one. System CPU load average 1. So the key must match exactly the key that you have on this host. Case sensitive, just like with a calculated items, just like with an aggregate checks. So exactly the same. I will put it in the quotes. System CPU load all average 1, then dot, and we need to write a function. I'll make this bigger. So the function is just like from the triggers, which value I want to display. Do I want to display an average, or let's say I want to display a last received value from system CPU load from this host, and closing curly bracket. So when I click the apply, I should actually see the value beneath the Linux server. Click. No, some kind of a mistake. Linux server, system CPU load. Maybe I don't need the quotes. Try to delete these. Yeah, there we go. So no quotes around the key, even if you have parameters. So 0.35, that is last received value. And I can write CPU load 1 min average, and there we go. We see the actual value, which is not just a static text. When you will have the map on the background, it will refresh. If the item will receive some new value, you will also receive different value here. So there we go with, let's say, one element. Can put it in Seattle. So let's add another one. The element, I will again make it host. This time I will choose the web server and default picture. So instead of server 86, we can make it UPS 86. Apply. There we go. Looks bigger now. What else? Labels. Again, we can type host.host. Apply. So we can see that this is a web server. And let's say we want to create a link between these two hosts, because, well, I don't know, maybe this is a switch, this is some kind of the server, and there's a link between them, which is important for our infrastructure. So what we do is just drag around these two hosts, or use a control select if you have many other elements in the beginning, and click link add. There we go. You get a green line, and the green line is here links web server to Linux server, which you can do again. Click edit, and again we have a label field. This is test, so we can write, and information will appear here on our link, where we also can display the values from our hosts, but this time we cannot use host.host. We cannot use this because this is the link, and the link is made from two hosts, and Zabbix won't be able to identify from which host you actually want to display the value. So if you want to do that, you need to actually specify the host name from which you want to show system CPU load in this case, and I will make it last again, and a closing curly bracket. and type that CPU load is like this. There we go. CPU load is 0.33. See, on this one this is 25, simply because I have different update intervals for the same items on these two hosts. What else? So link indicators, triggers. Link is between the two hosts, and we can define a trigger. I will just click on the first one that I see, but normally it probably would be availability of the web server or the link status between these two hosts. And what this means, so when this will become a problem, the color of the link will change from the green to the red. What we can do else, we can, let's say, add another trigger, and when this will fire, the color will become bold and with a blue color. So no limitation like on amount of the triggers. How do you want to see the style of the line? What do you want to see the color of the line? And again, you're free to play around. Let's say by default, when it is okay, you can make color of the line the same as you have a background, so you would not even see the link, and then only when the problem happens, only then you want to identify the link between these two elements. So this is up to you. Okay, let's keep on moving. See, like now I have a link, and every time I am moving one of these elements, like also the label and the link is moving around, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it is also a limitation, because let's say if I add two additional elements, I will leave them just like an images, select them, create a link. On the link I will display this is test. And let's say based on design of my map, this element should be in Houston, and this one should be in, well, here, San Francisco. And these two labels now collide, so there's no way I can actually move them around, but let's say because of my requirements, I'm simply not allowed to also move the elements. And I need to figure out the workaround, how I can move this is test somewhere a little bit up or a little bit down, just simply those two labels would not collide. And to do that, I will click the update. Just to not lose all of my changes, we need to use, again, a nasty trick. We need to use 1 pixel image that I just created here. It's literally the dimension 1x1, so it's 1 pixel. And go to the administration, general images. I will upload a new icon, so create icon, I'll call it pixel, choose file, pixel, add, and what I will do now, so I will delete the link between these two hosts, so this is gone. Then I will add a new element, choose image. I'll need to refresh the page, add an element, delete the link from these two, apply, change the picture to pixel. There we go. So click apply, and you see, so right now I can see the orange square around it because it is highlighted, but just a second and it's gone. So leave the element for the beginning. Now I can select these two and add a link on them. There we go. Apply, then I can select these two and again add a link on them. There we go. Click apply. Now we could have an option to break this somehow like this, and on this element I can use a label whatever I want, including some macro from this one or this host. So this is the way how you can actually break the lines, and this is one of the critical tips and tricks that you will have to use when you'll be creating a map. What else? The GIFs. So the example, again, I will add a new one, make it, I don't know, here, make it a host, and I've created test item on my Zabbix server host, so I'll click apply. So default will be, let's change it something else again, server 3D, so like this. And when, let's use a host dot again, and when the problem will happen on this host, I need to upload it. So again, go to the icons, create a new one, choose file, GIF image, make it GIF, add, so apply, update, save, go back to the map, edit, double click. So when there will be some kind of the problem on the host, I want it to change to the GIF. Click apply, and I can update. Okay, just open the video, not the video, sorry, open the map in a simple view, not the editing view, and you can see already that there's something going on. So there is a problem with my test trigger, and that's why we see just a computer cat. We can get it away, so I have a CLI here, and to make my trigger go to the OK state, I need to send, let's say, 1. Should work out. Refresh the page. There we go. Zabbix server, it's okay. No active triggers. If I will send 0 again, there should be again a problem. So there we go. And remember, the map is more than just a simple picture. So there is a problem on the Zabbix server, and I can click on it and execute the front-end scripts. Remember that you can also add your own front-end scripts, and you can use categories and group them in multiple levels, like in subfolders. Or you can just have quick links, quick shortcuts to the host inventory, latest data, problems, graphs, and host screens. Remember that each of these elements could be not the host, but another map, so you could define map inside a map with the sublevels. And also it is possible to define custom URLs on the elements. Let's say if the problem with a Zabbix server, I could define a URL on it, so when the users would see that there is a problem, they would click on my custom URL, and let's say they would be forwarded to your internal documentation or Confluence or something else, where you would have described what the user should actually do when he see this problem. Alright, I think this was quite a long video, and this looks ugly and it's not that easy to create something pretty, and I really don't think that it's not a functionality that you can teach, so that's something that you have to try on your own. Now you know how you can define the actual values in the labels, which adds a huge value to the maps, and how you can fight with a problem when multiple labels or hosts or lines collide, so how you can break the line. What else would I missed? Like the shapes, those are just for the visualization without any deeper logic. So you can add some shapes, you can move them around, can do something with them. So yeah, that's about it for the maps. Go ahead, try on your own. Post in your comments, how did it go? Maybe you faced some other problems, or maybe you do have some of your own tips and tricks that you want to share with others. So yep, click subscribe, click those likes, and see you later in the next videos. Goodbye.